Hello, so we are here talking about molecular compounds today. So that means it is a non-metal and a non-metal bonding together. And these are a little bit different in their naming convention because we can't balance the charges to figure out what the formula is because it's a negative and a negative, it's never going to balance. So we need to indicate how many of each atom we have in the name. We're going to do that using prefixes. And these prefixes you're probably familiar with because we hear prefixes every day in our lives. And some of these prefixes might be a little bit different than what you might used to hearing, but it still should be pretty intuitive what the prefixes mean. So, for example, let's just look at this nitrogen dioxide here. Knowing nothing, I know nitrogen at least has the symbol N, and dioxide. Di there is a prefix meaning two. You think like bicycle is bi, di, those are the same prefix for two. And oxide, we know from ionic compounds, is oxygen. So nitrogen dioxide, NO2, one nitrogen, two oxygens, right there in the name. It's pretty easy. The harder one with the moleculars is writing them, and that's just because we need to remember these prefixes. So this first one, Pi3. If there's only one of the first element, it doesn't need a prefix. I always spell phosphorus wrong every time. I think that's right. So we have phosphorus. We don't need to do anything to it. Tri means three. Think tricycle. Iodide. Just like in the ionic compounds, you're going to chop off the end and change it to IDE. So these are going to end in exactly the same way as the ionic compounds. So in this one down here, we've got phosphorus again. And again, there's only one. So phosphorus, we got 5 fluorides. So penta, like pentagon. Pentafluoride. This next one, we've got sulfur. Again, there's only one, so we don't need to do anything with it. Dichloride. Now, that only one rule, I'm going to shove one in right here so I can show you an example. That only applies to the first element. If there's only one of the second element, we still have to give it the prefix. So this is carbon. There's only one oxygen. Monoxide. We use that mono prefix. So the first element only gets a prefix if there's more than one. The second element always gets a prefix. Even if there's only one, it still gets a prefix. So always remember that. The second element always gets a prefix. And the last one here, we have an example where we have more than one of the first element. So that would be dimercury, dioxide, because there's two of each. Dimercury, dioxide. There's one more I want to show you, a little weird prefix. Let's do CCl4. So that'd be carbon. I wanted to show you this one because the 4 prefix is a little funky. It's tetra, like Tetris. Carbon, tetrachloride. So that might be the only one that's tough for you to remember. So we've got mono, di, tri, tetra, penta, and then hexa, like hexagon. So, and you can see hepta and octa, even nona and deca occasionally, but mono, di, tri, tetra, penta, and hexa are the ones you're going to see most often.